Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is Liz, and I'll be your host on this strange and confusing journey through lore, legends, and the most terrifying thing of all, laundry. I'm not gonna lie, with Halloween and doing all of the spooky things, getting caught up on the laundry just isn't in the cards for me. One day, I might be able to hide from it, or it hide from me. Maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part, due to the surroundings of this week's legend. I've been leaving hints about my upcoming episodes in previous episodes, so if you've been listening closely, you may know exactly where this is going. You see, this legend is about another structure that had its fair share of strange architecture and maze-like construction. But this wasn't to confuse people or to trap them inside. It was meant to confuse the spirits and to keep them out. If you haven't done so already, grab those baskets, grab a snack or a drink if needed, and get comfy, because today we are talking about the legend of the Winchester Mystery House. The Winchester Mystery House is a mansion of sorts, located in San Jose, California, that was once owned by Sarah Winchester, the widow of the firearms magnate William Wirt Winchester. I have to ask, what is it with people giving their children names with the same three initials? Are the initials an afterthought? Just curious. Anyway, 9 months after Winchester's death in 1922, the house became a tourist attraction. The Victorian and Gothic mansion is famous for its size and architectural oddities. It is sometimes claimed to be one of the most haunted places on the planet, but there is no evidence to back up this claim. Much of the folklore surrounding the Winchester house and its owner is fanciful, unverifiable, and frequently proven false. Let's get to know a little bit more about the woman behind the strange house, shall we? Sarah Winchester, nicknamed Sally after her paternal grandmother, was born in New Haven, Connecticut in 1839. In 1862, she married William Wirt Winchester. Sarah gave birth to a daughter in 1866, whom they named Annie Pardee Winchester. The baby did not thrive and died a month after birth. She had been diagnosed with marasmus. For those that don't know, marasmus is a severe deficiency of all macronutrients like carbs, fats, and protein. It causes visible wasting of fat and muscle under the skin, giving bodies an emaciated appearance. It can cause stunted growth in children and even death. The tragedies didn't stop there. Sarah's mother, father-in-law, and husband died between the fall of 1880 and the spring of 1881. Her husband left her a substantial inheritance in leaving her the heiress of the Winchester Repeating Arms fortune. Again, more tragedies befell Sarah as Mary Converse, her eldest sister, died in 1884. Around this time, she began to develop rheumatoid arthritis, and her doctor suggested that she relocate to a warmer, drier climate. Winchester moved to California from New Haven, Connecticut in 1885 at the age of 46. According to Mary Jo Ignoffo in her book, Captive of the Labyrinth, Sarah L. Winchester, Heiress to the Rifle Fortune. It was Sarah's doctor's recommendation. Happy memories of traveling to San Francisco with her husband in the 1870s and advertising about the weather and health benefits of California that were possible factors in her decision to relocate there. Sarah would go on to invite her 3 remaining sisters to accompany her to California, and they accepted. That sounds super sweet of her. I love my siblings, but I don't think any of them would actually want to live with me or move several states away with me. Dear siblings, if you're listening in, if I had a rich husband that died and left me a very large inheritance, I hope you enjoy spooky shit, because I'm most definitely purchasing an allegedly haunted house. Hopefully it comes with ghostly maids and butlers like the Haunted Mansion. I'll let them do all this laundry from now on. There. You can't say I didn't warn you. Well, Edward Ned Rambo, a San Francisco agent for the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, took Sarah on a tour of the Santa Clara Valley in 1886 in search of a home. He took her on a tour of a 45-acre ranch for sale near San Jose. John Hamm sold her the property, which included a 2-story, 8-room farmhouse. She named her new home Llanada Villa because it reminded her of Llanada Alvesa in the Basque region. It's located over in Spain and is very beautiful with rolling hills and luscious fields. Daisy Merriman, Sarah's niece, moved in with her around the age of 21 in 1890. Merriman was hired as Winchester's administrative assistant, handling business correspondence and banking. They participated in charitable events together and were associated charities and Red Cross members. Daisy's wedding to Frederick Marriott III was paid for by Winchester in 1903. Sarah purchased several homes and properties in Atherton that same year. Daisy and her new husband were offered one of the homes to live in, which they accepted. Sarah later bought the couple a home closer to the train station from which Frederick could commute to work. I guess it pays to have a wealthy aunt with no heirs or heiresses to her estate. In 1904, Sarah bought a large property near the hamlet of Burlingame, north of Coyote Point, and instead of building a house, she bought a houseboat, or ark as they were called at the time. Sarah died at the age of 83 on September 5th, 1922. Sounds to me like she lived a pretty fulfilling life. But we all know that this isn't the end of our story. There were a lot of things about Sarah that were going on behind the scenes, but it all started with the renovations to her farmhouse in San Jose. While building a home on Prospect Hill in New Haven, Sarah and her husband developed an interest in architecture and interior design. Sarah hired at least 2 architects with plans to expand the farmhouse, but she fired them and decided to do the planning herself. Honestly, I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing. She designed each room individually, oversaw the project, and sought advice from the carpenters she hired. She drew inspiration for the house from the World's Fairs that were popular at the time. While the home was similar in scope to other homes built at the time, it was unusual for a woman to oversee such a project, and she could be considered an architectural pioneer of her time, according to Colin Dickey in his book Ghostland, An American History in Haunted Places. If the progress did not meet her expectations, she was known to rebuild an abandoned construction, resulting in a maze-like design. According to the San Jose News of 1897, a 7-story tower was demolished and rebuilt 16 times. There are walled-off exterior windows and doors that were not removed as the house grew in size as a result of her expansions. Several levels, up to 5, were added to various parts of the house. The design was primarily Victorian, with Gothic and Romanesque elements. I've got to give her that. Sarah made the goth lifestyle look cool way before it was ever a thing. Good on you, Sarah, for being ahead of the trend. Sarah is the true OG. The walls and ceilings of the ballroom were adorned with carved wood. Teak, maple, and mahogany woods were used to create an intricate pattern on the ballroom floor. A large brick fireplace was framed by 2 windows that featured Shakespearean quotes. On the second floor, there were bedrooms with adjoining sitting rooms and sewing rooms. Walls were adorned with what is known as L'Encrusta wall coverings, meaning they had leather or metal appearance. Moldings, stencils, and faux finishes adorned the ceilings. There were chandeliers from Germany, art glass from Austria, Asian furnishings, and French paintings. An annunciator, a primitive form of intercom that was common in large homes during this time period, was installed to summon servants. There was an indoor garden with slanted floors that carried excess water to trap doors that contained pipes that supplied water to the outdoor flowers. A generator was installed to power the water pump and provide electricity. And because of Sarah's height of 4 foot 10 inches, and health issues, a 10-foot-high stairway with 44 steps was built. After digging a little deeper into the staircase, I've come to find that the stairs were much like the Victorian death stairs. They were only about 2 inches high and not very wide, as Sarah had some pretty small feet. Being the disproportionate and clumsy person that I am, I would very likely break a body part or get fast past the afterlife on my first trip down those stairs. No puns intended. Again, Sarah was like 4 foot 10, maybe 5 foot on a good day, or with the right pair of shoes, which I recall being a size 2. Now, don't hold me to that. I am 5'3" with a 9.5-10 shoe size. I most definitely would either go down sideways looking like an idiot or down the fast way looking like a dead man walking, tripping, falling. Either way, I think I'll find a less treacherous set of stairs in the house. The windows are unique in that they are pastel colored, asymmetrical, and have sharp bevels. The upper level windows featured spiderweb tracery, a popular design at the time. Shakespearean quotes from Richard II, Troilus, and Cressida can be found in the windows to the right and left of the brick fireplace. Over the years, tour guides and articles have claimed that the windows were created by Tiffany & Company, despite the fact that the company rarely used bevel glass. This style of window can also be found in Craig de Roche Castle in British Columbia, Canada, leading architectural historian Jim Wolfe to believe the windows were manufactured by the same company. Wolfe determined that the most likely artisan of the windows was glass artist John Malone of Alexander Dunsmuir's company, the Pacific American Decorative Company. This theory was confirmed when an envelope with the seal of Dunsmuir's Company on it and a scribbled note in Sarah's hand was discovered in the wall of one of the dining rooms that was being restored. Many of the purchased art glass windows were never installed and are now stored in a storage room. Sarah would take regular breaks from construction, some lasting months, to rest because she tired easily. This slowed construction significantly and contradicts claims made in articles and by tour guides that she worked on the house around the clock for 38 years until her death in 1922. The house had approximately 500 rooms during peak construction. I don't even know what I would do with 500 rooms. I guess at that point I could start renting them out, but then again, I wouldn't want to be around that many people either. That many rooms just seems a bit unnecessary and ridiculous. But I'm also not a wealthy heiress with a fuck ton of money either, so... According to Bruce Spoon, a San Jose State College student who chose to write his master's thesis on Winchester in 1951, the reasons for her large home were to keep workers employed and to express her artistic vision. He came to this conclusion after speaking with people who remembered her and reading newspaper and magazine articles. The Llanada Villa was severely damaged during the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. There is no evidence that Sarah was trapped in the San Jose home, despite rumors to the contrary. She owned several homes in California and spent the majority of her time in Atherton after the earthquake. The 7-story tower and the majority of the chimneys were destroyed. One entire wing, as well as the 3rd and 4th story additions, were destroyed. After the earthquake, Sarah had the rubble removed but did little else to the property. This resulted in doors that opened nowhere, pipes protruding from what were once window boxes, and staircases that once led to upper floors abruptly ending. There I go again, ruining all the fun for myself again. I really enjoy hearing all the legends and lore behind weird and paranormal stuff, but now that I have to actually research the history behind some of them, it takes some of the mystery and wonder away from it. But don't worry. There are still some strange happenings afoot. Due to failing health, Sarah did not work on the San Jose home after 1910, except for minor maintenance and the addition of an elevator in 1916. She was concentrating her efforts at the time on finances and the development of an investment portfolio. According to Mary Jo Agnafo, she was far more successful building an investment portfolio than a mansion. The house had 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 10,000 windows, 47 stairways, 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens when Sarah died in 1922. That is still a lot of house for just one woman, but the fact still stands that this was a very wealthy woman that didn't have any reason to stop other than dying. But others saw this as an opportunity as well, because 9 months after Sarah's death, the house became a tourist attraction. The house was in disrepair and was thought to be worthless. A group of investors bought the property and leased it to John and Mamie Brown, who turned it into an attraction. They later bought the house in 1931. Following Sarah's death, the house underwent numerous room additions and deletions. Mamie was the house's first tour guide. When former neighbors, friends, and Winchester employees learned about superstitious claims made about the house and Sarah, they were outraged that the Browns were profiting from lies. They described Sarah as more level-headed and business-savvy than most men. In 1924, Harry Houdini paid a brief visit to the house and was reportedly impressed by its unusual layout and architectural novelties, but was unable to conduct a thorough investigation due to other commitments. According to some accounts, Houdini advised tour operators to call the property the Winchester Mystery House. The house was in disrepair when Keith Kittle, a former Disneyland and Frontier Village employee, took over as general manager in 1973. In the 1970s and 1980s, he renovated the house and added a Winchester Rifle Museum. He applied for historic landmark status and launched an advertising campaign that included large billboards along highways. The billboards depicted a silhouetted house with the implication of a ghost encounter. Attendance increased as he capitalized on the existing history and superstition. Kittle held the position of general manager until 1996. As of September 2022, the house is owned and operated by Winchester Mystery House, LLC, a private company representing the Browns' descendants. Author Mary Jo Agnafo stated in her book, Captive of the Labyrinth, that tour guides are required to follow a script that emphasizes fabrications and inaccuracies. One guide, according to Agnafo, lamented, "I feel so torn because I have to tell people untruths. Every time I go through the house and have to talk about 13s and other kooky things, my heart breaks a little for Sarah. I have to bite my tongue every time I hear a guest say, 'What a nutcase.'" Various rumors, hyperbole, and myths have embellished Sarah's story over the years, and popular writers have misrepresented or invented details about the house and its owner in order to enhance the legend. I myself have heard several stories, lore, legends, and rumors about Sarah Winchester and her mystery house. Let's talk about some of them for the listeners that have not. Tourist literature purchased at the Winchester Mystery House claims that Sarah inherited up to $20 million and earned $1,000 per day in royalties from her inheritance. According to Ignafo, her husband's estate was valued at $362,330 in 1881, but this included approximately $300,000 in stock that Sarah would only inherit when her mother-in-law died, which did not occur until 1898. With the addition of her husband's Winchester Repeating Arms Company shares, she had a total of 777 shares, worth $77,700, with annual dividends averaging $7,770 between 1880 and 1885. Myths surrounding her decision to relocate from the East Coast to California are thought to have originated with author Susie Smith's 1967 book, Prominent American Ghosts. According to Smith's version of events, Sarah went to a medium named Adam Koontz in Boston, who told her that she and her family were being haunted by the ghosts of the people killed by Winchester rifles, that she needed to build a house for these ghosts, and that she would never finish the project. Since then, this claim about Sarah meeting with a medium has been repeated in brochures and articles. According to Ignafo, while it is possible that Sarah met with a psychic medium because this was a common practice for women of her social standing at the time, there is no evidence that she did. Emily Mace, a scholar, and others searched through issues of Banner of Light, a spiritualist publication, in Boston city directories, which listed spiritualists in the area, but no one named Adam Koontz could be found. There definitely were a lot of public figures that believed in the supernatural in those days. Oddly enough, they all seemed to be connected in one way or another. H.H. Holmes was living and operating his businesses in Chicago during the World's Fair. Sarah got her inspiration for some of the architecture for the Winchester Mystery House from the Chicago World's Fair. Harry Houdini visited Sarah's labyrinth of a home. There are more, but I don't want to give too much away. Yes, I'm winking again. Sarah began to appear in newspapers around 1895. These local papers were full of speculation about her and the ongoing construction of the San Jose home. Despite the fact that large, ornate homes are commonly built by the wealthy, her lack of interaction with neighbors and the known fact that her money came from the firearms industry fed into superstitious narrative. The newspapers reported that the reason the construction was continuing was because Sarah feared she would have bad luck if it stopped. This theory grew into stories about her believing she would die if construction stopped. The newspaper article read something along the lines of, "Strange story, a woman who thinks she'll die when her house is built." 10 years ago, the handsome residence was apparently ready for occupancy, but improvements and additions are constantly being made, for the reason, it is said, that the owner of the house believes that when it is entirely completed, she will die. This superstition has resulted in the construction of a maze of domes, turrets, cupolas, and towers covering territory enough for a castle. San Jose Daily News, March 29th, 1895. When the Historic American Buildings Survey, or HABS, added the Winchester home to the National Register of Historic Places in 1981, they stated incorrectly that the construction took 38 years and reiterated that Sarah believed she had to keep building or she would die. HABS also listed the purchase date as 1884, when county records show it was not until 1886. Some articles were written in opposition to the supernatural slant. In one, an unidentified acquaintance refuted the superstitious accusations, claiming that they were nonsense and that Winchester was an unusually rational woman. Again, the San Jose Evening News would write an article in 1897 stating, "Only gossip, no truth in the story of the Winchester Palace. If she wants to build a castle on her premises near Campbell, she should be permitted to do so without ascribing her motives to foolish superstitions. If people of wealth who settle in Santa Clara are to be ridiculed when they spend their money lavishly, we might as well put up the bars. After a while, the lady might not want to have a nail driven about the place for fear that someone would run off to a newspaper with a cock and bull story," per an acquaintance of Sarah Winchester. In 1915, while Sarah was living in Atherton, her relatives stayed at the San Jose home for nearly a year to attend the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco, which lasted 9 months. There was no construction during this time, and the staff closed the house for a week to attend the fair. Yes, this was yet another World's Fair. According to Ignacio, there is no evidence that Sarah was forced to continue her construction project and would rather focus on estate planning. The belief that Sarah built her house in a strange maze-like pattern to confuse and keep spirits from harming her, as well as that her sanity was questionable, began in the mid-1890s and has grown in scope since her death. The doors and windows that led to nowhere, the unusual shallow stairs, the stairs that end in a ceiling, the interior barred windows, and trapdoors in the floor all serve to confirm Sarah's spirituality and poor mental state. These house anomalies, according to paranormal investigator Nickel and Ignacio, have simple explanations. The barred windows were previously exterior windows that had been closed off as the house expanded. The doors and windows that didn't open were a result of the 1906 earthquake and the extensive damage to the house. Because of Sarah's failing health, the small steps were constructed. The trap doors were installed in a greenhouse room where excess water could be collected and piped to an outdoor garden. Sarah did not rebuild the house after the earthquake damage. The tower bell was used to summon workers and as a fire alarm on the property. According to Joe Nickel, it was later claimed that it was used to summon spirits. Claims that local residents heard ghostly music coming from the house, according to Joe, are explained by the fact that Sarah frequently played the pump organ in the grand ballroom when she couldn't sleep. Claims that Sarah hosted parties for spirits in her home, complete with lavish dishes served on gold plates kept in a safe, are fanciful and unsubstantiated, according to Mr. Nickel. When the safe was opened after her death, no gold plates were found, only a lock of her baby's hair and personal mementos. At the turn of the 20th century, the most widely held belief about Sarah's house construction was that she felt tremendous guilt as a result of all the deaths caused by Winchester rifles and of inheriting so much money from the arms company. Ignacio believes Sarah was not guilty because the Winchester Repeating Arms Company was successful in the 1800s and weapons were seen as a necessity for survival. According to both Joe and Ignacio, as Sarah aged, especially after 1900, as her health issues worsened, including arthritis, missing teeth, and neuritis, which is inflammation of the peripheral nerves, she became more private and reclusive. This reluctance to appear in public or socialize with her peers earned her a mysterious reputation, which fueled gossip in the community and local newspapers, fueling the rumor that she was superstitious. Miss Henrietta Severs, Winchester's long-term companion, claims Sarah had no superstitions. Sarah's relatives, employees, and gardeners never claimed she was superstitious, guilty, or insane. Her will named all of her employees as beneficiaries. Sarah turned down the opportunity to host 2 U.S. presidents. First, President William McKinley visited in 1901, and a committee was formed to arrange accommodations, but Sarah did not extend an invitation. The president and his entourage drove past the Mystery House without stopping. Second, President Theodore Roosevelt visited the area in 1903. And legend has it that Sarah refused to open a locked gate to let the president in. This was not the case because the president had no intention of meeting Sarah because a stop at her home could have been used to promote rifle sales. He didn't want to be associated with any product. Architectural features such as 13 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, and 13 windows in specific rooms are said to be a result of Sarah's apparent obsession with the number 13. However, carpenter James Perkins claims that these and the more irregular features that have made the house a world-famous oddity were built after Sarah's death. Whether it were Sarah or someone else that decided to put 13 of everything, I don't see how 13 is considered a terrible number. Oddly enough, there are a lot of people that see it as their lucky number, like me, Colgate University, and Taylor Swift being just a few. Sarah's staff, who were with her every day, stated that she had no interest in seances and there is no record of them taking place in the house. Nonetheless, a false urban legend has emerged claiming she held nightly seances in the Blue Room in a closet by herself from midnight until 2 a.m., talking to ghosts about what construction should be done the next day. Aside from the lack of records found about seances at Yanata Villa, the closet seances were unlikely given that they were usually social events performed by groups rather than individuals. and records show that the blue room was the gardener's bedroom. Over the years, several paranormal investigators have documented their own evidence in the home. Visitors to the location have also stated that they have heard footsteps in Sarah's bedroom, seen doorknobs turning themselves. Guests have been overcome with icy chills and have even temporarily lost their vision. Both guests and investigators have reported that there are several types of hauntings happening, such as residual, intelligent, and shadow figures. One commonly reported spirit that is said to be a residual haunting is that of the wheelbarrow man seen working on a fireplace or pushing a wheelbarrow full of coal or ash. Sadly, I am unable to confirm or deny if the Winchester Mystery House is indeed haunted or not, and who really knows what actually went on inside the home. I'll leave that one for all of you to decide. Well, friends, it's that time again. I want to thank all of you for listening, and if you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, I ask you to please like, subscribe, or leave us a written review. We absolutely love hearing from all of you. We can be found on all major podcasting hosts, but if there is one that you prefer and we are not hosted on there, let us know at lorelegendslaundry@gmail.com, and we will put it on there. We are officially on Facebook and can find us by typing in facebook.com/lorelegendslaundry. You can also do the same for Instagram by going to instagram.com/lorelegendslaundry, as these are the sites that we share pictures of our locations and interact with all of you throughout the week. Until next time, bye guys. And don't forget to switch the laundry.